Protesters rallied in Tel Aviv demanding the release of around 130 hostages still held in Gaza. Protesters scuffled with Israeli police after blocking roads in Tel Aviv, while 5 protesters were arrested.
Meanwhile, in the US, Columbia University has begun suspending pro-Palestinian activists who refuse to dismantle a tent encampment on its New York City campus. This came after the Ivy League school declared a stalemate in talks seeking to end the polarizing protest. Protesters are demanding a ceasefire in the war with Hamas and the divestment of university assets in companies involved with the Israeli military and an end to US military assistance to Israel.
Now, for more on this, we're being joined by Dr. Malcolm Davis, Senior Analyst in Defence Strategy and Capability at Australian Strategic Policy Institute. He's joining us live from Canberra. Thank you so much for joining us on World DNA, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Sir, as I mentioned, there's hope of a possible truce deal, hostage release deal. Antony Blinken has labelled this deal by Israel as extraordinarily generous. What I'm trying to understand is, what do you think is different about the deal this time around that there is cautious optimism?
Look, I think that obviously it's a two-phase deal, as you pointed out. In the first phase, there is a pause in the fighting, and in return, Hamas release, I think it's 33 hostages. In the second phase, there is a prolonged period of calm, which essentially is a ceasefire, and the remaining hostages are released. But obviously from the Palestinian and the Gazan perspective, the Israelis are releasing significant numbers of Palestinian prisoners as well. So in effect, this is similar in some respects to previous attempts at a ceasefire. It's played out over 2 parts. It's designed to essentially avoid the suggestion that Israel would continue the war after the ceasefire ends. So I think that it's now down to Hamas to decide, do they want to take this opportunity and bring this conflict to an end, or do they want to be seen as the actor that actually prolongs the conflict?
Mr. Davis, now Biden has been facing mounting pressure back home over his handling of the war in Gaza. There have been protests. We have been seeing those visuals coming in. Do you feel that is one of the reasons, or the main reason, why he's also now eventually putting pressure on Netanyahu to go in for this truce deal and call for a ceasefire?
I think so, in the sense that, we are in an election year in the US, and Biden must be concerned that he would be losing the progressive wing of voters in the Democrat Party through his handling of this. And obviously the concern is that as a result of that, he loses the election and Trump gets in. So I think that Biden is trying to bring this conflict to a close. You now have widespread civil unrest occurring across US cities and universities, which is unhelpful to Biden's image of trying to be a statesman. So I do think Biden is now under pressure to bring this to a close, as much as Netanyahu is.
All right, remains to be seen now what decision comes from Hamas' end, but it seems like we're inching closer towards a ceasefire finally after November last year. Thank you so much for joining in. That was Dr. Malcolm Davis joining us from Canberra.
Thank you.